Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture Football.
And I'm Andrew Pollard from WhatCulture Football.
And we are here with all of your football news. Don't forget, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Football on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily football podcasts. But there is no other place to start than the Lionel Messi breaking story over the weekend that he is set to leave Barcelona after their thrashing at the hands of Bayern Munich. They lost 8-2 in the Champions League on Friday night. And according to Brazilian journalist Marcelo Beckler, Lionel Messi, wants to leave Barcelona. 33 years of age, has obviously been there forever. But now, and we're going to talk about this separately, hopefully today on another podcast about the future and where he could head next. It could be the end for Messi at Barcelona, Andrew Pollard.
Yeah, crazy news to follow on from a really, really quiet weekend these last few days. Nothing has happened in football. That Barcelona game, 8-2, me and Gareth Morgan covered that on Saturday. And then we had a little dive into what could be next for Barca. And we looked through the squad, you're thinking that obviously they need to rebuild. Their finances aren't massive these days. And you're thinking, what sellable assets have they got, really? Because a lot of their players now, Sergio Busquets, for example, he probably wouldn't ever leave, and you wouldn't get any resale on him, any sell on for him. Same with Gerard Piqué. There's a lot of aging players. Luis Suarez might be off, but that wouldn't be much money. I wouldn't be surprised if that was maybe a free, which we may get to shortly. But Messi is one of the only players there, really, where you're thinking, if they got rid of them, they could bring in a hell of a lot of money. But it's crazy to think of a Barcelona side without Leo Messi in it. But maybe now is, if it's ever going to happen, I think that's what we were getting with, because he's getting on for, he is 33 years of age now. So you're thinking, if Messi's ever going to leave Barca, this may be is it the summer? What we classed as right now? I have no idea with the football seasons. But yeah, this could be the time.
And the loss on Friday night could be the catalyst of the Champions League quarterfinals. I was listening on the radio driving down to Birmingham for socially distanced meetings with friends over the weekend, and Chris Sutton just savaged not just Setien, but the entire Barcelona side. At the end of the day, yes, the manager had to come in for some criticism, and we got another story about who could be replacing him at Barcelona. But it was just embarrassing. Like, watching through the highlights, the last 10, 15 minutes, it's like they weren't bothered. And it's a good job there wasn't fans in attendance, because they would have just been merciless when it comes to reacting to something like that. That's not something you see from Barcelona, regardless. I know, my mind was cast back to a few seasons ago when it was Bayern and Dortmund versus Real and Barca, and they just took them apart. But even so, it was just this capitulation. And they obviously credit to Bayern Munich as well. But in terms of Messi, just very quickly, the reports suggest that Messi is dissatisfied with the administration and lack of planning, and has already communicated his desire to move to the club's management. As I said, hopefully myself and Andrew will be discussing this in more detail a little bit later on today. And I've got some news, as I said, as to who could replace Setien in charge of Barcelona. But before that, Messi might not be the only one leaving Barcelona.
Yeah, his I guess long time strike partner Luis Suarez may be departing the the Nou Camp. Christ, I'll get lynched here now. It's Suarez was kind of expected to maybe go once the season was finished. He's turning 34 in January. He's been a great player for them, but I think we can all fairly say that he's maybe not quite the player he was. He doesn't seem quite as mobile, maybe as fit as he used to be. He's clearly still got the quality, as shown by his goal against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Inter Miami was rumoured with him. I think a move to Qatar, I think, as well, has been thrown around. But the story that's come out this morning is it could be a return to Ajax, which seems like, it seems like a deal that could make sense. Obviously, the Eredivisie isn't quite up to the speed and the I guess the work rate, the workload he'd require as he would in La Liga. So it's a move that makes sense in that way. He's a hero there at Ajax. I mean, when he signed from Groningen, he got, I think it was 81 goals in 110 games for them. Before, obviously, that cemented his move to Liverpool, and then from there, from Liverpool, he went to Barca in 2014 and won a lot of trophies. So, it could be a nice way to end the career. I mean, mean, obviously, Luis Suarez is not the most universally adored player in world football. Yeah, but for him, it would be a nice way to bookend his career, just to see it off at a club where he's a hero. I mean, he's a hero at all clubs he's played for, because even if you can't stand him, the clubs he's that sort of player you'd love to have at your club. So yeah, it looks like Suarez may be off to Ajax.
Yeah, it's half the time when you say about footballers that are, incredibly skillful, but then have other issues. You talk about off the field issues. This is all on the field issues that we're talking about with Suarez. But yeah, it's a nice thing, isn't it? And I think Ajax, it'll be interesting, because obviously Ajax has just been such a hub of like youth development. It's, I'm sure opinions are going to be split as to whether he's going to be taking the place of someone who could develop through that Ajax system, or whether or not him being there could help really teach and develop some of their other players. So I like it. I think it's a good move for everyone involved. And like we say, and like you speculated on with Gareth over the weekend, fascinating chat, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's got to be, complete upheaval at Barcelona. Yes, you've got your Griezmanns and stuff there, and potentially you could say, right, let's build a squad around that. But just watching the footage back from Friday, and you just thought, I mean, how many changes do they have to make? Yes, they've got, like Ansu Fati, for example, is another great player they've got. But across the pitch, you look at that starting 11 and you think, right, well, there's an argument to be made to getting rid of, half of them? Potentially, I
think you're being kind there as well. It's serious rebuilding from. I mean, Gerard Piqué, fair play to him for coming out after the game and saying, "Look, it needs to be wholesale changes. If that includes me leaving, so be it. It's all about what's best for the club." And it is. It's the squad. I mean, even the players that were playing. You look at like Arturo Vidal, who's played getting for 40 games across the season. This is a player they were widely trying to get rid of, that they clearly don't think is good enough, but he's playing just because.
Ahead of Griezmann.
Yeah, ahead of Griezmann, who all that money spent on him, and it's not quite worked so far. And I mean, do you take the plunge and maybe look to get rid of him to bring in some funds to rebuild? Because that's the thing they're in, that it's so tricky that where you look into I'm sure they've got some gems hidden away in the youth ranks. You talked about Ansu Fati there, who's come in and been a revelation, still only 17, very much pegged as the next Messi. So that's a nice tag to throw on the poor lad at 17 years of age. It's weird to look at Barcelona and think that this is a big rebuild job from the start, from the ground up, and obviously that includes the poor Kiki Setien. He only got the job in January, and by all accounts has been officially told that he's let go, but it's not been made public.
Yes, exactly. Sutton on the radio on Friday went, he ain't surviving this, basically. We've speculated quite a lot recently as to who could be taking that Barcelona job. Obviously, we mentioned the reports that Wenger allegedly rejected it. Other names, of course, like Mauricio Pochettino have been linked. But now, according to a new report from Mundo Deportivo, Ronald Koeman is the man who's going to be taking the role. He's going to be on for 2 seasons, although the second will be dependent upon performances, when you would assume success, and the new president of Barcelona, whatever they decide. Complete upheaval at Barcelona. I mean, we speculated last week about Cristiano Ronaldo being offered to Barcelona, with this mad changes going on at Juventus, which we'll also get onto in due course. But it's completely uncharted waters. Like, I've seen changes be made at Barcelona, and obviously for people of our age, sorry to lump you in there, Andrew, but we've watched this Barcelona side develop, and yes, lose legends like Ronaldinho, for example, but I've never looked at it and gone, right, almost a completely clean slate. Yes, as I said, as we've mentioned, Fati, Griezmann, there's a whole host of other players that we can mention who still have a role to play, but it feels like a football manager game where you just sell the entire squad and go, right, who are we going to get in with the money that we've got from it almost?
Yeah, I think that's a great point made there about like Ronaldinho, for example, where this is the Barca team that previously they've been able to bring in money to strengthen the team because they've sold their big stars at the right time. I don't think anybody really wants to see Ronaldinho leave, but Neymar, 200 million. Yes. Nobody wants to see Neymar leave. So they've managed it well in terms of they've kept a strong core and offloaded players to bring in money to strengthen in other areas, and it's been a nice model. But they're at a point now where they I don't know, they've just seemingly, I guess it's a strange problem where if you've got so many players that love the club and come through the club and synonymous with the club, and they don't ever want to leave, and they don't leave, you lose out on some sort of transfer market there. You don't bring in any money for these players. So it's the kind of pros and cons of that. I mean, Manchester United had the same way. Obviously, they had that class of '92, and there's only, David Beckham left, and then I guess Nicky Butt, but the rest, and Phil Neville bargained to Everton. But Gary Neville stayed there forever. Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and there's no money there for them. And Barca, it's whoever comes in. I think Ronald Koeman makes sense, and it's interesting you say about how it's initially on a 1 year with the option of a second year, and on the other side of this, Xavi's kind of come out and said that I want it, but not just yet. Maybe give me a year. It's like, okay, so Xavi wants it in a year's time. Who can we get as a bench filler, I guess? And Koeman makes sense. He's a Barca legend. The dude had 6 years there, won a European Cup. I just realised I'm in my Dutch shirt here, which wasn't actually planned, but it is a shirt that is a very much, you think of Ronald Koeman when you think of this shirt. But I looked into this when me and Gareth Morgan would talk about the weekend about candidates, and I think it's 67 goals in something like 198 games for Barcelona from playing sweeper for Ronald Koeman, which is insane. So, I mean, obviously he took free kicks, a hell of a lot of free kicks, but 67 goals for essentially a defender. But yeah, so the point being that the fans absolutely idolise Ronald Koeman. As the manager of the Netherlands right now, you've got to look at it realistically. When will international football come back? Right now, we don't know. We don't know when if and when domestic football is going to come back as planned, and if it does come back as planned, maybe it gets pulled again, or I don't. Nobody knows right now. But on the bigger picture, international football, you don't know if you're a national team manager. You don't know when you're going to have to pick a squad next. So maybe he's thinking that now would be a good time for him. He's openly talked about how he'd love to do the job at some point, but that this was maybe 18 months ago, and he was focused on the Netherlands. Now, different kettle of fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all up in the air right now. I suppose the only thing we can guarantee about international football is the next year it's coming home. So anyway, what's our final news story of the day, Andrew?
Wow, you've had to, really. How many years of hurt will this one be? Badil and Skinner are just updating that song every tournament. One final bit of news, a little bit of team news, and then there's lots more still to discuss. But Keylor Navas is out of the Champions League semi-final for Paris Saint-Germain, their first choice goalkeeper this year. Looks like a torn hamstring by all reports. So if PSG do get past RB Leipzig in the semis of the Champions League, chances are he ain't going to be available for the final. But yeah, he's kept 5 clean sheets for them in the competition this year. He's very much, I guess, rejuvenated his career after it didn't go so well for him at Real Madrid, getting his big move there, and that he didn't really do well in that spotlight, and obviously they brought in Thibaut Courtois as a replacement. But yeah, Navas has been great for Paris Saint-Germain. It's going to be a big miss for them, but they're going to bring in Sergio Rico, it looks like. Well, it will be, who Premier League fans may be aware of for a time on loan at Fulham, that he didn't look all that great. I mean, he's on loan from Sevilla, who they did all right this weekend. We'll get to that shortly. So it's very much a concern for Paris Saint-Germain, but it's one of those where there's not much more they can do. Navas ain't going to be fit for any Champions League games for this season, this competition. Possibly 2 games left for Paris Saint-Germain if they get to the final, of course. So they've got Sergio Rico for those games. Also injured out still over Marco Verratti, Thiago Silva, Kazawa, and I think Idrissa Gueye is the other person who's a big doubt. So yeah, there's problems with Paris Saint-Germain. It's a nice way to be brought back down to earth after they finally got that monkey off the back and got through to a Champions League semi-final, and after so many people were expecting them to bottle it, they finally gone and got to a semi again, probably going in as favourites against Leipzig. But then now they've got, on the other hand of that, they've got the blow of missing their first choice goalkeeper. So, but as a neutral, makes it interesting.
Absolutely. I'm surprised there hasn't been more injuries actually in this tournament, because we saw all the Chelsea players going down in that FA Cup final, for example, and I think it's a huge loss for PSG. I really rate Keylor Navas. I think he's a sensational goalkeeper. Yes, he's had issues in the past, but you don't win the things that he's won. I mean, obviously he's had great defences in front of him, but you don't do the things that he's done without being a world-class goalkeeper. I think it's a big loss. And like you say, my experience of Rico, my money's going to be firmly on RB Leipzig now going into that semi-final. But who knows? It'll be very interesting. It's such an exciting tournament that we've got left. These 2 semi-finals completely up in the air. It's Bayern Munich to lose. I think everyone would say that, but we cannot take our eyes off it. Let's talk a little bit about that Europa League, though. Tonight, of course, is Inter versus Shakhtar Donetsk. Last night saw Manchester United crash out. Well, not crash out, really. I think a lot of Man United fans thought, oh, Sevilla beat them. Sevilla are on an insane run. They've won 20 straight games, I do believe. They've won about 25 of 26 knockout games. This is their competition, the Europa League. They defeated Man United 2-1, a 90th minute Bruno Fernandes penalty, which was amazing. If you haven't seen it, that's how you take a penalty. After a foul on Marcus Rashford, sort of very much a FIFA foul. He had the shot and then got hit. But anyway, Sevilla brought it back. Suso in the 26th minute and Luke de Jong scoring in the 78th minute. Also, massive shout out to Bono, the Sevilla goalkeeper, who was just like the FC Copenhagen goalkeeper, amazing on form against Man United. I think United were unlucky. Obviously, got to take those chances. But I think, whilst they won't be happy to have been knocked out, I think United fans are already looking ahead to next season, as is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah. There's it was a strange game because United played really well for the most part. You talked there about Bono, the goalkeeper. Lots of YouTube puns all over Twitter last night, clearly, because of course, he had an absolutely belting game. And United, there was. Because if you look at Man United again, it's a team that there's still some holes there. It's very much a work in progress. But one of the what you'd look at as maybe a consistent for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons would be Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. You're thinking, right, they've got that position covered, no problems there. I thought he had a bit of a mare last night, I'm not going to lie. And Sevilla played on that, their left side, Will Campos, and even Banega pulling strings. It was
so underrated.
It's criminally, absolutely criminally underrated. And I believe he's off to possibly China, is it the end of the season? He's off somewhere, for a nice big payday, which he's earned, I guess. It was a great game to watch. I mean, all these games are, as somebody that doesn't have a single dog in any of these fights, as it were, it's just, as a neutral, it's great to watch these games. And I'd like to hope that this format stays in place, maybe for next season at least. It's something new and fresh.
And it makes sense with what's going on in the world right now. The thing we can't mention, otherwise we'll get demonetized. Very quickly, I've been horrendous when it comes to predicting these games, so I'm just going to pass over to you and say, what can we expect from Inter versus Shakhtar?
Goals. I believe there's goals in this. Shakhtar, they've always been one of those teams that are fun to watch, where they may not necessarily go all the way every year, but you're going to get some entertainment along the way with this kind of just this cycle of random Brazilians they pick out from nowhere and turn them into superstars, like Willian, for example, and they've got Tyson there still. I love watching that guy. Erratic, but has a penchant for scoring absolute worldies. Our predictions have been horrendous, mate. I looked into this, and Bayern Munich is the only one I got right. Out of all my predictions, not great. But no, I think on this one, I've said it. Like, I've said this exact same phrase for most of these games, but I cannot look past Inter Milan. Insert name of big club. Just Romelu Lukaku. Man United fans are still kind of berating him for, his first touch ain't the best all the time, but the dude's got, I think it's 32 goals, 31 goals. He's got 9 on the bounce in Champions League, so it's like in Europe, in the Europa League, so it's Europa League, Christ, changing their names. So I can't look past this Inter Milan team. It's a very good team, and they've got a very good manager. A team that came second in Conte's first season and is back in Serie A. There's Nicola Barella's a really fun player to watch as well. Gets the job done in midfield. There's Lautaro Martinez. There's a lot about this Inter Milan team, and I really think they can seriously. They were in with a fight of winning the league this season until after the restart. It just seemed like Atalanta and Inter Milan kind of had big wobbles. Juventus had wobbles, and nobody took advantage of it. And then Juventus kind of stumbled to the league title as per. But I think this Inter team will really push it next season, and I fully expect them to get through tonight, which means that Shakhtar Donetsk are going through probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I literally haven't got a single prediction right. I thought just to make it interesting and to guarantee is one result, I picked Barcelona. Yeah. And listening on the drive down, that was pretty much done and dusted by half time. So I'm going to stick with you, though. I'm going to go with Inter Milan. Come on, we're going to get one right.
Well, I got my Bayern Munich one right, so I'm cool. You're going to play catch up now.
Yeah, I just want to get one on the board in European competitions before they all finish. Let's quickly wrap up with some transfer news. We mentioned Juventus. There's some big moves going on, or big contracts or whatever being sorted out.
Yeah, it's kind of like lots of personal terms being agreed, but no actual agreements between clubs, seemingly, which is the way of modern football. But Hans Hateboer, one of the standout of Atalanta, is doing that thing that so often players do when you're at that smaller club and you have some success, and then the big boys come and kind of flutter their eyelids, and it's like, oh, let's go to Turin. So yeah, Hateboer looks like he's trading in Atalanta for Juventus. Dutch international will be teamed up with Matthijs de Ligt there, of course, who he's seemingly good friends with. It's been deployed this season a lot at right back. Before that was mainly a midfielder, central midfielder, being one of the stars of this really, really great Atalanta team. And hopefully this is maybe just one that's slipping in there and going to pastures new, and that they can retain the rest of the squad to build on for next season. But yeah, Hateboer seemingly has agreed, according to reports, he's agreed personal terms with Juventus, but the clubs have not agreed a fee yet. But he cited the ever familiar, I feel like a new challenge, which we hear so often. The fee should be in the region of maybe 25 million, possibly 30 million euros. Another player that has agreed terms with the club, but not actually their clubs have agreed terms, is the story that's been going on for weeks now of Thiago cashing in and moving from Bayern Munich to Liverpool. By all accounts, a 4-year deal is on the table. He's already said his goodbyes to his Bayern Munich teammates, which is kind of awkward when you're still going to play with them for another week or so at least. But yeah, again, this is one where all the boxes are being ticked before a fee's been agreed between Bayern and Liverpool. He's bought a house in Merseyside. The contract's agreed. It's just a case of agreeing a price, which I'm intrigued on this one, see how much they'll actually get for him, because he's pushing for this move clearly. And I know I think his contract's coming down in the next season, so I'm not sure on the fee on this. Will it be like a 20 million? But normally you'd think, obviously, if this is a player that's contracted down for a few years, a player of his caliber, then you'd be looking at in a normal market maybe 50 sort of thing. So it'll be a great get for Liverpool if they can get this one over the line, because just a really classy footballer. And I thought maybe if he left Bayern, it'd be Manchester City, because he seems perfect for that team. And one more final bit of news as well is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, all the talk of, is he going to leave? Is he going to stay? Should he stay or should he go now? And he goes and bags 2 goals to win the FA Cup for Arsenal. And that could have been the nice send-off, as in like, right, I've done that for you. I've got your trophy, and now I'm off to pastures new. But seemingly not. He is set to has agreed a new deal. It's not been made public yet. It's not been announced officially, but very trusted sources, Sky Sports for one, are reporting that the deal's done. Aubameyang has teased it on his own Twitter account that it's only a matter of days before the announcement is made official. 54 goals in 85 games since he joined in January 2018 for Borussia Dortmund, which is ridiculous stats. His contract, the one he's on at the moment, it's due to expire the end of next season, so it really was right. If you're not going to sign a new deal, we're going to have to cash in and get some sort of return for you. But yeah, an announcement expected in the next few days on that. And on the other side of it, while Aubameyang looks like he's going to be staying at Arsenal, also rumours that Juventus might be eyeing up Alexander Lacazette, which is an interesting one.
Absolutely, yeah. Really exciting with Hateboer and these rumours about Lacazette, to see Pirlo trying to mould his new team. Yeah. So happy about the news about Aubameyang. I'm a huge fan of his, have been for many years. Love playing with him on FIFA. Love watching him now in the Premier League. And I know Simon Miller, our Arsenal fan, was desperate to see him sign a new contract. I think it's a sign of, fingers crossed, big things to come for Arsenal. I think they are really taking shape now. I'm not saying they're going to be challenging for the league next season, but they certainly will be a team to watch. And like you said, with Thiago at Liverpool, I know our Liverpool fan Ewan was arguing for them signing him as well. Exciting times ahead in the Premier League, and like you said, it's all go in the transfer market now. Yep. Players put themselves in the shop window, especially with performances in these European competitions. But we will keep you posted on all of these developments. Do let us know your thoughts on all of them as well in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Football on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily football podcasts. We will hopefully be back later on today to discuss what I'm dubbing the end of an era at Barcelona. Myself and Andrew Pollard. You can let us know your thoughts on everything we discussed though on Twitter as well, at WhatCulture FC. And while you're there, follow both of us. You can follow Andrew Pollard at
Cultured Left Peg.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture FC, as I said. But this has been the Footy News. My thanks to Andrew Pollard. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.